Hey, life seems to be getting more expensive every day. Looking for a cheaper state to live in? Here's the top 10 cheapest states. The first state we're going to do is number 10. The motto of this state is the crossroads of America. The state is Indiana. The cost of living index here is 90.4, which is less than the average in America. 100 will be the average, so 90.4, about 10 below the average. The average price of a home here is about $170,000. But if you want to live near Indianapolis, expect to see more around $215,000. Other reasons to check out Indiana are less traffic, less property and income taxes, and a pretty good job market. Some cons include cold and snowy winters, some drug usage, and not much variety in the landscapes. You'll see a lot of cornfields and windmills in Indiana. Next up is number 9. This state is getting real popular these days. Since 2020, they've gotten over 50,000 new residents moving in each year. It is Tennessee. The cost of living index here is 90.2. So the taxes in Tennessee are pretty low, there is no income tax, and the food is pretty affordable as well. The median home value here is about $218,000. And places like Nashville expect to see more around $400,000 median price. But in some of the suburbs you should expect to see around $200K. Some pros that you'll see in Tennessee are gentler winters, blues music, country music, Nashville, and of course the outdoors. Here there are some caves you can explore in the Smoky Mountain National Park, and the autumn I hear is supposed to be real amazing there. But some cons you should be aware of are hot and humid summers, some severe weather possibilities, as well as the population growth, which is causing a lot of urban congestion. It's a popular place, so a lot of people are moving in. Number 8, nicknamed the Land of Enchantment, it's New Mexico. The cost of living index here is 89.6. So the groceries and food here are around the national average, but the utilities and housing are much cheaper here. And the median home cost in New Mexico is just under $200,000. And a fun fact for you, their capital, Santa Fe, is the highest capital in the nation with an elevation of 7,000 feet. That's pretty high. You might enjoy it here if you're an outdoorsy type because they have lots of natural features, such as mountains, rivers, deserts, and forests, as well as national parks and valleys and canyons. A lot of cool things to see, but some of the cons you should be aware of are higher crime and poverty rates than the national average. And we've arrived at number 7. It's often called the heart of the Dixie or the Yellowhammer State. It is Alabama. The cost of living index here is 89.4. Alabama does have some pretty high sales taxes and utilities, but makes up for it with affordable housing. The median price of a home here is just $194,000. Some cons to deal with are a lot of pests, such as cockroaches, which are very common in the summer months. They're also dealing with higher poverty rates than the national average, as well as underfunded public education. Some pros to consider are really good food, a lot of college sports like college football to watch, and of course the Gulf Coast beaches. If you're seriously considering Alabama, you might want to look into Huntsville. It's in the northern part of the state, and it has also ranked among the top 3 places to live in the US. It's also known as the Rocket City, and some big companies are already located there or are in the process of locating there right now. Companies such as Boeing, US Army, Target, and Walmart, Google already have a presence there. So if you move there, it might be a good place to find a job, especially if you're top engineering talent. Number 6. It's home to the Vidalia onion, Coca-Cola, and is known as the Peach State. It is Georgia. Cost of living index here is 89.4. The median home value here is about $180,000, and the median rent cost is lower than the national average. This goes for most of Georgia, except for Atlanta. One positive thing is that dozens of Fortune 500 companies are located in this state, and there is low unemployment. Some cons that you should be aware of before moving to Georgia are that most of the state deals with very hot and humid summers, and the state also deals with a lot of pests like mosquitoes. In addition to this, many months there are a lot of allergens in the air. And lastly, one more con you should be aware of if you're in the Atlanta area is the notorious traffic. Alright, number 5. This state's nickname is the Show Me State because they want to see evidence before they believe something. This state is Missouri. The cost of living index here in Missouri is 88.9. Joplin, Missouri has some of the lowest home prices in the country, with a median home price of $130,000. But the rest of the state has a median home price of around $200,000. You'll like it here if you like the outdoors because there are 6 national parks and almost 100 state parks to choose from. In addition to that, you'll see some of the best hunting and fishing access in the Midwest. You might also enjoy their pro sports teams and the food like toasted ravioli and St. Louis style pizza. And if you're a beer drinker, Budweiser is also from Missouri. Some cons to be made aware of before you move to Missouri is that if you're not bringing your own job, the wages here are a bit lower than the national average. And the median household income is near 12% less than the national average here. You'll also deal with higher taxes, and the state deals with higher than average gang-related crimes. And lastly, they deal with hot and humid summers like many other states on the list. Next up, known as the Sunflower State, is number 4, and that is Kansas. The cost of living index here is 87.9. So the cost of living in Kansas is about 12% cheaper than the national average. And the typical home price is about $197,000. Some fun facts for you. Kansas is mainly an agrarian or farming state and is one of the largest producers of wheat, corn, and other stuff. Some pros that you might enjoy in Kansas are reduced traffic, there's not much traffic at all, good barbecue, and some four-season living, if you're into that. Some cons, though, is that it is located in the middle of Tornado Alley, so you'll probably be dealing with severe weather every year. It's also very rural and things are quite spaced out, and you might have to drive several hours depending on where you live to get to the nearest airport. And lastly, beyond the plains, there isn't much scenery to speak of. Alright, number 3. Known as the land of opportunity and the natural state, it's Arkansas. The cost of living index here is 87.8, and the median home cost in Arkansas is $145,000. Some pros to consider here are low property taxes, lots of outdoor activities to do, and of course, good weather. And on top of that, the overall cost of living is pretty low. Some cons that you should keep in mind are higher sales tax, higher than average obesity, crime, and poverty. On top of that, their education system is pretty lacking. Alright, number 2. The birthplace of the first Girl Scout cookie and the parking meter, and known as the Sooner State, it's Oklahoma. The cost of living index here is 86.8. And the typical home value in Oklahoma is about $170,000. Also, food, utilities, and transportation costs are all well below the national average. Another fun fact is that the city of Tulsa ranks 2nd in the US for total number of Native American residents, with over 48,000. What some people like about Oklahoma is their mid-sized cities. They offer quite a few amenities, but not all the problems of the big city. Oklahoma is also friendly for business and has a good job market. So the cons to consider are that it's usually really hot in the summer, many days over 100 degrees. It is also, just like Kansas, located in the Tornado Alley. Actually, the annual average for the state is 57 tornadoes per year. So if you want some variety in the scenery of the landscapes, or you want some big city life, then look elsewhere. Alright everyone, we finally reached number 1. Known as the Magnolia State, Mississippi is the cheapest place to live in the US. The cost of living index here is 84.8. So, in Mississippi, the average cost of living is around 15% less than the national average. They're also 40% below the median home price in the US. The typical value of a home in Mississippi is about $157,000. And if you were wondering, the least expensive place that you can get a house in Mississippi is in Aberdeen. The median home price there is only $75,000. Some pros to consider with Mississippi: more inexpensive secondary education options, and food like fried chicken with biscuits and collard greens, as well as very mild winters. You'll hardly ever see snow in Mississippi, if that's what you want. Some cons that I do need to make you aware of is that they also have very severe weather. They can be hit by hurricanes on the Gulf Coast as well as tornadoes on the rest of the state. They have been known to have about 40 tornadoes per year. Education, wages, and the job market are also lacking. But if you're a remote worker and you're bringing your job with you, and maybe you budgeted for private schools for your kids, then maybe Mississippi is a good option for you. So, do you live in any of these states? Or maybe you're thinking of relocating at some point? Whatever it is, just let us know in the comments. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're interested in seeing more US fact videos like this one. And if you by chance are interested in mini golf, check out this video right here. Or if you don't care about that, check out this US facts video right here. I'm Max with Mini Golf US. We'll see you next video.